Chapter 24. An exercise for teleportation. You're right, Vladimir, Anastasia's grandfather continued. In terms of the present state of consciousness of most people today, what Anastasia creates can seem incredible. Still, once the conscious awareness and state of mind belonging to our forebears at the time of our pristine origins are fully comprehended, these same people will look back and laugh at the astonishment they are now expressing. I'll tell you now about just one exercise that will enhance your ability to easily teletransport your second self, that is, to transport yourself to a neighboring town, or to a different country, or time period. Anybody can do this, as long as they're not lazy about it. Remember one time you saw Anastasia, in response to your request, move her body in a split second from one side of the lake to the other, and then move it back again. Footnote, see Book 4, Chapter 21. And she didn't hide the fact that any man, capital M, is capable of doing the same. One must mentally visualize all the cells of the body, down to the tiniest ones, which aren't even visible under a microscope, and disperse them into space with one's thought, and then gather them up together by the power of thought in the new place. Just watching this can astonish the imagination. Anyone can do this whose speed of thinking allows them to visualize in a single moment all the details of their body. Even a microscopic error, though, is enough to prevent the cells from gathering together after dispersal. I've done this on just 3 occasions over my lifetime, and each time I prepared for it for a year or more in advance. I can't do anything like that anymore. Either I'm just a bit past my prime, or I've become too lazy. Even my granddaughter, who was able to demonstrate her teleportation abilities so easily, said that this should not ever be done unless there is an acute need for it, and she explained why. Still, she transported you on several occasions to different times and cities. You saw images, and you felt as though you were present at the events that you witnessed. Am I right? Yes, you are, I confirmed. It was when I described how she transported herself and me to another planet without our bodies. Footnote, see Book 4, Chapter 22. Our bodies remained on the earth. A lot of people didn't believe that such a thing was possible. They will believe it when they are able to do something along these lines themselves. I will teach you how. Just listen carefully and try to make sense of what I say. Man is made up of a multitude of energies which comprise his being. Feelings, thoughts, imagination, that is all man as well. But these energies cannot be seen by the eye. We shan't say whether these parts of the body are material or not. In this case, the degree of their materiality isn't important. What is important is that they exist, and that these are also you, a man. The material human body is one of many elements comprising a man. Man can live without a material body, only then he would have to be called something else. The material body affords a visible opportunity to define the degree of harmonious balance among all the other energies. Now imagine that you or some other man took all your energies by your own free will, separated them from your body, and transported them to a different space. Is that something anybody can do? They can. It happens to a certain degree with everyone when they sleep. But don't get carried away. Keep on listening. I said that man is capable of transporting by his own free will his whole complex of feelings to some other place. That requires a bit of training. Here's a training exercise. First, you need to find a spot where you won't be disturbed. It can be just an ordinary room with a bed, as long as no distracting sounds can enter. So, you can lie down on the bed and relax your body. See to it that your arms, legs, and head are lying freely in a comfortable position. Then, without moving, try to direct more of your blood toward one hand, as opposed to other parts of your body, purely by your will. If you don't succeed right off, try again until you feel a slight tingling in your fingertips on the hand you've been directing the blood and your energy toward. You should spend no more than 30 minutes a day on such attempts, but keep them up until you are able to freely direct the flow of energy and blood at will. First to one hand, then the other, then to your feet. Once you achieve the desired result, you should be able to direct energy to the brain as well. If you succeed at this, you will notice a significant benefit to your health. You will be able, for example, to remove a pimple or sore from your arm or leg or any other part of your body. You will be able to reverse hair loss, but most importantly, you will be able to supply your brain with supplemental energy. I should also point out that in order to achieve such results, you should refrain from eating meat for several days before beginning the exercise. You should have a varied diet of fresh and easily digestible foods containing ethers. In your present living conditions, these are hard to come by. But here are some foodstuffs which can give you a lot of things you're missing. Take approximately 10 grams of cedar oil each morning, then about 20 grams of honey, and 5 of flower pollen. You should repeat this 3 hours before bedtime. Once you have completed this first part of the exercise, you can then go on to the second. For this part, tell me, what are some of the most common actions people perform every day around their home? Probably food preparation is the most frequent. The majority of us, of course, prepare food every day, peeling potatoes, for example. So, choose an action which you repeat most often. Which specific action it is doesn't really matter. The main thing is that it is one you are very familiar with. You mentioned peeling potatoes. This may as well be the most familiar for some people. Others can choose something else. Now take a watch and note the time as you begin this particular action. While you are carrying it out, try not to think about anything else. Remember all the details as well as what you feel while doing it. If you're peeling potatoes, for example, take note of how you hold the knife, where the scraps fall, how you washed them, and the sensation of the water. Remember how you put the potatoes in the pot for boiling and set it on the stove. Remember how you cleaned up the scraps when you were finished. When you decide that your actions are completed, look at the time and either remember or write down how many minutes you spent on them. Let us say it took 20 minutes altogether. Now set your alarm clock to go off in exactly 20 minutes. Go into the other room, the one where you mastered the first part of the exercise while lying on the bed. Lie down on the bed again. Relax, close your eyes, and picture yourself in the room where you peeled the potatoes. It is essential to visualize everything down to the minutest detail. If you visualize everything correctly and consistently, and in all the details, the alarm should go off at exactly the moment that you have finished your visualization. If you are lazy and you leave out a lot of the details, you will finish your visualization before the alarm goes off. If, on the other hand, you're slow and lethargic in your thinking and your visualization, the alarm will go off before you've finished. Some people will need a whole year's training to do this. Others, 2 years, while there are those who might learn it in a month. Once you learn to make your visualizations coincide with real time, you're close to being ready for teleportation. You can then go on to the third part of the exercise. In part 3, you have to mentally enter another room of your home and carry out a series of actions which you do only rarely. First, measure the time it takes you to carry out the actions in visualization. Let's say you go into your room, fill a watering can with water, and proceed to water some flowers. After doing this and getting up from the bed, check your watch to see how many minutes the visualization took you, and either memorize the figure or write it down. Then go into the room you recently entered in your mind and repeat the action of watering the flowers. The time should coincide right to the minute. If it doesn't, well, that means that you need more training. Once you've got the times to coincide, then you'll be able to do a great deal with your second self. You'll be able to visit not just other rooms in your home, but your neighbor's home too, and even other countries. For this, you will only need a few reliable details. After analyzing them, you'll be able to recreate the whole environment in detail and actually go there. Not everyone will manage to do something like this, but I can tell you with certainty that once you have been in an overseas city, you'll be able to go there again and again by transporting that second self of yours. Once you master this, though, you need to be mindful about one particular danger. You shouldn't detach your second self from your body for very long. At this point, I'll digress from Anastasia's grandfather's account and tell you in more detail about the danger involved. After doing this exercise, for curiosity's sake, and achieving the results he spoke of, I tried teleporting my second self to the island of Cyprus, to the city of Paphos, which I had visited earlier. See Book 5, Chapter 19. Lying on the sofa in my office, I relaxed and pictured myself getting ready for the trip, going to the airport, boarding the plane, landing at Larnaca, and checking into the hotel I had stayed at in Paphos. Once I took a shower, and walked down to the seaside. Coffee in the evening, the local music, a morning stroll on the beach, bathing in the sea. It was all there. I returned, or woke up, I'm not sure which is the more accurate description here, 3 days later, and I could barely lift myself out of bed. My body, to put it mildly, had been wanting to go to the bathroom for a long time, and nobody had bothered to take it there. It was also very hungry, and nobody had fed it. I finally managed to get up and take a look at myself in the mirror. I was not happy with what I saw. A 3-day stubble had sprouted on my face. My facial expression was peeved and joyless, and I felt very sorry for my poor body, which had been abandoned for the past 3 days. The whole experience taught me a lesson, that man's body is nothing but an utterly helpless piece of flesh without the energy of the second, or is it the first, human self. Yet, helpless as it might be, it still belongs to me, and I have no right to leave it unattended, even for the sake of a trip of some overseas resort. I also observed that when you travel without your body, though the sensation may appear complete, and you still feel the seawater and the warmth of the sun's rays, the body still does not get a tan. At first, I regretted the time wasted on the training, but later I managed to make a profitable use of it, in the ability to foresee, with the help of my second self, some events that had not happened yet. This is how I managed to write on several topics, which I am about to present you now.